This video will contain spoilers for Season 6, Episode 9, No Way Out for The Walking Dead, so just be careful as you're going through and watching this video. What is going on, everyone? This is Ninja Geek here, and we are bringing back the series that happens every single Monday. We are reviewing The Walking Dead. This week, of course, we're reviewing No Way Out, the brand new episode for the mid-season premiere of Season 6. So let's get right into this video. First of all, I would like to state that comparing this Season 6 premiere and finale, or mid-season finale, to Season 5's, I think that this one was way better, in my own personal opinion. You could let me know what your thoughts are down below, but in my own personal opinion, I think that Season 5's mid-season premiere and finale ended in a bad way because we lost Beth, which was a tragic moment, and there was just no urgency to continue on watching. But here, within Season 6, this premiere and finale of what happened last time, and now cutting back into now where we're in February, I feel like was more of an urgency to watch it because it left off as a cliffhanger rather than just a downward slope of, okay, that's it. But last time, we saw different parts of the group, obviously them still broken up. We have Daryl's group, which was in the truck and was approached by the biker gang from Negan's group, of somewhat associated with that. But we also obviously know about Rick's group from Alexandria and how they were trying to escape the house and how we lost Deanna in that whole Walker fight that just broke through the walls, but it was two separate stories and we were left off on a cliffhanger. I thought that that was a better way to do it, and this time here within Season 6 we're going to get right into the beginning and of this episode and start off. So getting into the cliffhanger of the mid-season premiere, we obviously didn't know how it was going to go with Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham, how it was going to play out with them and the bikers gang of Negan's apparent group, and we find out more that obviously we know that Negan's been casted, so we know that he's going to appear in some way in future episodes, but we didn't know about this now, and having this portray into the show right now really, I think, would have spiced things up of having this biker gang come back to Alexandria and seeing what would have happened if they actually lived. But then Daryl went kaboom on them with an RPG. Now that obviously was a good thing because we didn't really want them to live, but in my own personal opinion, having them live, I think, would have spiced the show up a little bit more, would have made it more entertaining to watch, but you never know. It was a cool effect how they did that, and even explaining how they used actual dummies to blow it up when they actually went to film it. It was a great scene, but we obviously know Negan's going to be casted, or he is casted. We know he's coming, but I just feel that if they were alive, it would have went a little bit better. But you can let me know your thoughts on that. I don't mind that they're dead because they're obviously bad people. It's just how the show happened to go. But cutting back into Rick's group of how they left the house where Deanna actually ended up dying in, and they started to move across the way using the old strategy and technique from all the way back in Season 1 when they used the Walker Guts to put them on themselves and escape Atlanta. Well, we see that being used here, and it actually is working out. But the thing that I really wanted to point out was that, what do you guys think of Father Gabriel? Because in my own opinion, he's really stepped up from the group, or for the group, in many ways. He's been shunned down a lot by Rick, but I think that he made a comeback this time around. Do I still like him as a character? Not really, but he has definitely shown that he's stepped up and that he's worthy enough, I think, to be in Rick's group, because he takes on the challenge of taking care of Judith and saying that nothing will ever happen to her. I'm going to keep her safe no matter what. We are going to get to this church and I'm going to keep her safe, and that was his goal. So I really feel that he stepped up here, because he even in the last episode where the mid-season finale was for this, he even stepped up and said, I'm going to follow and nothing bad will happen. I'm going to listen to the instructions given. And Rick was like, okay, yeah, that's good. But what do you guys think about Father Gabriel? Because that's a really interesting character that I think that he had a point where he was turning on Rick because he didn't know about them and how he was talking to Deanna about how they are the devil's group and stuff. But I think that he finally realizes now and that what's going on, and that he has to take on this new world. He finally understands it. It took him a little bit longer, but he has to eventually understand that. So here is really where the meat and potatoes, or I guess you could say the Walker flesh of this episode, really comes in. We see them going in. Now, there's one thing that I want to mention because it was a little bit weird. At first, it showed them when they were talking to Father Gabriel and how he was going to take Judith back to the church, how it was daytime, and then it just cuts to them being nighttime. I don't know how long they were out there for. It didn't seem like that long, and it's already like 3 hours or 4 hours later. But nonetheless, they are still walking through, trying to escape Alexandria, or they made a new plan to go around and get some cars, lead out the walkers, and that was their new plan. However, during that, Sam gets the moment that we all knew was going to happen. I kind of guessed, and we all kind of guessed, from my standpoint, that Sam was going to end up dying. And of course, we see how Sam has the flashbacks from season 5 of Carol actually telling him, oh, if you tell somebody that I stole these weapons, you're gonna be tied to a tree. You're gonna be seeing these monsters, and there's no way out. And he's kind of remembering this in his brain, and he can't continue. He's becoming disoriented, which in turn fails almost the entire group. Sam goes down. We see that, and not Judith, Jesse, both start with J. She obviously, that's her son, so she just freaks out, immediately loses it. She tries to get him to come back, but he obviously was too far gone there. Then she just went down in the entire thing, had her hand still attached to Carl. I mean, it was just such a disorientating moment for Rick. You could even see it in his face that he just did not know what to do at this point. He's even getting the flashbacks of Jesse. Now, some people may not have liked those flashbacks. I personally did, because she wasn't a character that was with us a long time, but if the reason why I say I like these flashbacks within here, and I think that they put them in, and I'm going to be talking about another flashback moment in a second, but I feel that these flashbacks really helped explain how much Rick has lost love, because if you remember, there was a lot of flashbacks and going back and forth in season 3 when Lori died and Rick was going insane, and he's kind of feeling that same angriness again, if that's a word, because he lost Lori, and then he tried to forget all about that, and then he found Jesse, and after her wife died, after her husband died, my fault, after her husband died, Pete, it just completely turned around for Rick, and he just was like, okay, well, now I at least have a chance, and I think he started to gain more loving attraction for her, and seeing her just instantly go down and die was a big moment for Rick in his own mind, that it just brought along these flashbacks. And even then, when he's chopping her hand to get it off of Carl's, because they're like locked on together from trying to escape Alexandria and get out of there, it just like he had the moments of just red, and it was like a red flashback because he was eventually just losing her. And I don't know how well Rick is going to play out. You don't know how well Rick is going to play out from here on in, because it just gets even more crazier within this part of the episode. So now Rick, I feel, is getting more of that season 3 in him. Of course, obviously after Lori died, he just went into a complete breakdown zone, and he was just out of it for a couple of episodes until he finally got back in and realized what was going on in the prison. I feel like this is his same way in a different way, if that makes any sense. He's feeling these, I mean, that whole family just died within a matter of seconds after. I mean, you got Jesse's death, you got Sam's death, which I pretty much knew Sam was going to die, and then Ron just picks up the pistol that Carl drops, and it's just like an instant moment. At first, when I was watching this live on TV, I didn't even see that he shot, because the writers made it so discreet that you didn't even see either that, because if you blink for a few seconds, you're not going to see the gunshot go off. So I personally didn't see that, and Michonne just takes Ron out. Their entire family is just dead within a matter of a minute, not even. And then you turn and look at Carl, and the iconic moment from the comics just comes true, that Carl loses his eye. Many people have been seeing this for a long time. They were wondering if it was going to happen, and they actually did make it happen. And the way that they made it happen was pretty cool, because they used like an entire mask, and the way that they showed it, they have a bunch of images online of how they actually portrayed this, aside from, offset, putting it on set into the way that it looks so real, and they just did it. The writers and the designers did a great job designing that entire area of the episode. But now Carl has lost his eye. Now Rick is really getting mad. Like, first of all, he's probably pissed because Sam just completely ruined the chance that they had to get out. And then he lost another person that he was trying to love, and now his own son, his own flesh and blood, potentially could have died in that, even though we saw that Ron got hit. I mean, if Michonne didn't do that, Carl would have probably been dead. But it was what it was. It happened all in a matter of minutes, and it just carries on, and Rick is just probably like, what the hell is going on? They have to rush out of there, get to the infirmary as fast as they can. Setting aside Rick's group for a minute, we see the wolf kind of progress into a new character. As we've seen in the last episode, he just doesn't really care about anyone else, and, you know, the world has just completely changed him. But Denise actually tried to make him change into a different person, to become one of the Alexandrians, I guess you could say, to become back to human nature. And I think that that's what he eventually becomes at the end. So I feel that the wolf scenes are kind of ironic when they come together, Denise and the wolf, and they're just together, and they have to escape Alexandria. They're hiding there, and they have to wait for a gap to try and get out of there. And the wolf actually runs back, tries to help save Denise, and in turn, he obviously ends up getting shot by Carol, but we do know that he tried to save her, which I feel like is a giant change in the character from what he used to be from the past couple of episodes, and even earlier on in Season 5 when we first got introduced to Morgan and how this was the same wolf. And it just shows how a character can change over just a short period of time. But here is where I really say that Rick gets back to the roots of his Season 3 self. Because after they make it to the infirmary and Rick puts Carl down on the bed, wherever that happens to be, he immediately is like, he just can't even understand what has just happened, what is going on. Obviously, he knows that his son got shot, but in my own opinion, and friends that I know and have talked to have said, they said that a flashback there could have potentially been a great scene from where Carl got shot in Season 2 by Otis, one of Herschel's men from the farm, all the way back in Season 2. I feel like they could have put that in there. It maybe would have looked good, but it would have been a nice iconic moment, just so you can see how Carl's been shot multiple times now, not just that one time, but he's been shot now multiple times, and this time seems a lot worse, because, you know, back then in Season 2, he had lots of internal bleeding. He could have died, but it was a miracle that he lived. And this time, we see just his eye get shot out, which now he's not going to have another eye if he does end up making it out of this. But I felt like a flashback scene would have been nice there. But anyways, getting back to the roots of Season 3, they just go into a massive, massive killing spree of just Rick just going out there. He starts by himself slashing at walkers. You could just tell that he's getting his anger all out in once. From everything that has just happened, he's slashing away, and then other Alexandrians eventually see what's going on. Michonne and everyone, they're like, where's Rick? Oh, he's outside. They go to help, and it just builds into a giant gathering of everyone just taking down lots and lots of walkers. Now, getting on to Glenn and Enid's role, Enid actually helps Maggie by jumping up or climbing up into the ladder, trying to get Maggie and save her, while Glenn distracts the walkers. Now, a lot of people during this scene could have been mad, and they were mad that they potentially almost just killed Glenn by a bunch of walkers surrounding him. At this point, I obviously knew that Glenn wasn't going to die. I knew that he wasn't going to die, and I don't know how he would have been saved, but I just knew that he wasn't going to die in that one scene, because what's the point of bringing Glenn on and making him an unknown death for a few episodes back in the other half of Season 6, the first half, and then bringing him back, oh yeah, he's alive, and then just killing him right there? That wouldn't make a lot of sense. And it turns out that Abraham and Sasha just come to the rescue, and obviously Daryl comes to the rescue too on the bottom, but they just mow down a bunch of walkers with some ARs, which is an insane moment there. And then Glenn and Daryl reunite for the first time. They are like, what the hell is going on here? And Glenn's like, I don't know. And then something else happens afterwards, which we will talk about in just a second. But my absolute favorite scene from this episode has to be the hack and slash montage, as everyone would call it. At the end, we see them just go on a massive killing spree. We see, obviously, Daryl ignite the fire with the RPG into the lake that just blew off and made a huge explosion, which they did use propane for instead of gasoline, just because it just was easier, I think, and cost effective. I think that's what they said on The Talking Dead, but great scene there, and it just ignited the flames, and the walkers were all attracted to it. And then, not to mention the hack and slash montage, which everyone was just pitching in for, all the Alexandrians, everyone put forth their hardest work, and you just see an instant montage of just everyone slashing away, and it just keeps going faster and faster until it ends with Rick putting down the final walker, which I feel some people didn't like this. I just don't know why. I thought that it was a great moment. It was my favorite part of the episode because it shows because, number one, how time progressed in this time where it's like there's a bunch of walkers, and now they made it go so fast that it seems like that there is none, which there was, but also, I just felt like it made the episode move a little bit faster. It had a more rapid pace to it, because a lot of the times, sometimes you get slower paced episodes, which are fine, and they are great as well. But I feel like with this one, with this part added in it, I just overall enjoyed it. But what do you guys think about this montage clip at the end of them just tacking and slashing away, and then ending with Rick fading to black, and then opening up with Alexandria and all the walkers are dead on the ground? What do you think about that scene in general? Because that was my favorite part, and also, what's your favorite part of the episode? You could leave that down below as well. By the end of the episode, we really didn't know which way Rick was going to think. We obviously already kind of know how Rick is getting back to his Season 3 roots, and how he's just angry and furious, and he just wants us to be taken care of, and he gets it taken care of, but at the end of the episode, he comes forth and says that he should have listened to Deanna when he did, and been more caring, and invite more people in, and protect and listen to the Alexandrians. Basically, he didn't believe in them. He didn't trust in that they were going to do anything good, and this proved to him that it just overexceeded his expectations, that everyone did an excellent job at taking out as many walkers as they can to help protect themselves and save the group. So it seems as though Rick is becoming a little more soft, but then again, we don't know how Carl's view is going to be on it, because Carl could either be dead or alive. In my own opinion, obviously, I think that he's going to be alive, staying true to what happens in the comics, but you never know, because at the end of the episode, it just shows Rick there, and we don't know, obviously, what he's thinking. He's trying to be a soft person now, and what Carl may be thinking if he wakes up, but we end up seeing that Carl closes his hand, indicating that he is either alive or that he's a walker. I doubt that he's going to be a walker, because anything could happen on The Walking Dead, but there is that slight chance that he could wake up and become a walker, but I don't doubt it. I highly doubt that, because of what happens in the comics, and I highly doubt that they would kill off a main character just like that. But you never know. It is The Walking Dead. So that is really it on the episode. So what do you guys think will happen next between Rick and Carl and their decisions, more importantly, but on how Carl ends up waking up, and what do they think that they are going to do next in terms of how they're going to live? Is Rick going to take on Deanna's role and try and be more accepting to the Alexandrians and other people that come through, and Carl's going to take on a more Rick? Is it going to flip, or is it just going to be the same as it was before? But let me know about all your thoughts about The Walking Dead on this episode, and what can happen in the future. This has been the episode No Way Out. If there's any way I can improve on anything that I've done here, please leave that in the comments below, and I will see you on whatever my next video happens to be. This is Ninja Geek. I'm out, and peace.